Hello and welcome. Carbon dioxide, CO2, and many other greenhouse gases play an essential and extremely complex role in Earth's climate system. The suicidal notion of completely eradicating them to address the fear-mongering furphy of global warming is not only criminally insane but unavoidably calamitous. While reducing the indispensable gas of life, CO2 is pointless, eliminating it entirely is neither feasible nor desirable, but moreover is inescapably suicidal. Let's briefly examine just how essential the pivotal role of CO2 is in Earth's ecosystem. Carbon dioxide is a fundamental component of life on Earth. Plants rely on CO2 for photosynthesis, a process that not only sustains plant life, but also produces oxygen as a byproduct. Completely removing CO2 from the atmosphere would devastate plant life and consequently all ecosystems that depend on it. One of the cudgels bedwetting climate alarmists like to beat us over the head with is the greenhouse effect, forever bleating about a delicate balance. Well, the greenhouse effect, partly caused by a variety of gases, is essential for maintaining Earth's habitable temperature. Without greenhouse gases, the planet would be too cold to support life. No problems derived from any increased concentration of these gases due to human activities. None whatsoever. All fear-mongering reports to this end are not only total nonsense, but an absurd impossibility. Meteorological records demonstrate that throughout all of history, climate systems routinely and continually change. It's a natural process occurring in multifaceted ways and means that extends beyond just CO2 levels. But unfortunately, the cringing climate catastrophists exclusively cling to their sky is falling obsession of non-existent global warming. They conveniently ignore the incontestable fact that this premise has no foundation in historical records, with no empirical evidence to support such ludicrous falsehood. We also endure the never-ending farm obliteration agenda, demonizing methane and nitrous oxide. Both gases play an integral part in trapping heat. But despite the whining, anguished hand-wringing and teary snivelling, these gases exist in perfect proportion and balance. Something these unhinged climate cretins unfailingly ignore is the issue of particulate matter. Numerous studies suggest that particle pollution plays a significant role in atmospheric regulation. But no, they can't allow for this, as it might detract from their mentally paralyzing Fart Phobia. Deforestation and urbanization affects aspects of climate patterns to some degree, but there's no evidence to justify the wailing and moaning from the chicken little buffoons. Among the most egregious deceptions promulgated by these morons are the carbon capture and storage technologies. What currently exists in this absurd arena cannot remove CO2 at the scale projected to significantly impact global temperatures. Current human efforts pointlessly remove about 2 billion tonnes of CO2 per year, which is roughly 5% of the annual emissions. Hydrocarbon fuels still play a crucial role in the global economy and energy production. Abruptly eliminating all CO2 emissions would cause severe economic disruptions and energy shortages, particularly in developing nations that rely heavily on such fuels for growth and basic needs. Also, this line of hysterical irrationality studiously ignores the natural carbon sinks of forests and oceans, which absorb and release CO2 as part of the carbon cycle. Completely eliminating CO2 would disrupt this natural process and would have catastrophic consequences on all global ecosystems. There are countless compelling arguments against eradicating CO2 from the atmosphere. Many carbon removal methods are dangerously speculative, with uncertainties regarding their technological feasibility, social acceptability, costs, and potential impacts. As previously emphasised, CO2 is essential for life, being fundamental for plant photosynthesis and sustaining ecosystems. Dramatically reducing or completely removing it would devastate plant life and all dependent ecosystems. The greenhouse effect is crucial for maintaining Earth's habitable temperature. I once again repeat that without any greenhouse gases, the planet would become hostile to life. In addition, we have economic and energy challenges. Abruptly eliminating all CO2 emissions would cause crippling economic disruptions and energy shortages. Interfering with Earth's natural carbon cycle will incur disaster. Moreover, the costs and energy intensity of carbon removal methods, such as direct air capture, are prohibitively expensive and energy intensive. The energy required to cancel out humanity's emissions through direct air capture would exceed the energy we get currently from burning hydrocarbon fuels. Carbon capture and storage, BECCS, require vast amounts of land, which is a finite resource that should never be wasted on the rabid lunacy of non-existent climate catastrophe. The UK's response to this treasonous sedition is to introduce another 25 quangos, quasi-autonomous non-government organisations, to make up more committees for endless meetings accomplishing nothing. These ubiquitous NGOs are inveigled into existence through sleight of hand legislation to operate outside regular departmental structures. Bureaucrats love them for obvious reasons. Meanwhile, the climate bedwetters have to contend with the increasingly dimming promise of renewable power. While governments and greenwashed environmentalists wildly championed wind and solar energy as the path to a sustainable future, a dark shadow has fallen over renewables. Despite years of massive investment and technological advances, wind and solar power continue to fail through their ineffectiveness and unreliability in powering modern societies. In short, they are unfit for purpose. One of the most pressing concerns with wind and solar energy is their inherent intermittency. Recent events in Australia highlight this problem, with the country experiencing its worst week for wind by a significant margin. Wind energy production dropped to just 42% of its annual average, demonstrating the unpredictability of this power source. This unreliability poses an unacceptable threat to grid stability and energy security. The economic viability of renewable energy projects has come under scrutiny, as several notable wind and solar initiatives have been cancelled, delayed, or impaired due to rising costs. Major players in the renewable energy sector have seen their stock prices plummet, with some companies experiencing losses of up to 95% from their peak values. This market correction suggests a growing realisation that the economics of wind and solar is a path of diminishing returns. Contrary to their eco-friendly image, wind and solar installations require vast tracts of land, leading to significant environmental impacts. These large-scale projects disrupt animal habitats, causing the mass slaughter of hundreds of thousands of birds and bats. The appalling environmental cost of renewable energy infrastructure violates all conservation ethos. A critical metric in assessing energy sources is their energy return on investment. Wind and solar power have unacceptably low returns compared to conventional energy sources. The best wind and solar installations achieve 10-to-1 and 5-to-1 respectively, falling far short of the 30-to-1 ratio enjoyed by combined cycle natural gas plants. The This gross inefficiency means that wind and solar cannot generate sufficient energy to sustain a modern, energy-intensive society. The integration of variable renewable energy, VRE, sources like wind and power into existing power grids also presents significant technical challenges. Without proper integration measures, up to 50% of VRE generation could be jeopardised by 2030, inevitably leading to increased reliance on hydrocarbon fuels to meet energy demands. While proponents argue that wind and solar costs are decreasing, the reality is more complex. As these external factors fluctuate, the true cost of renewable energy remains impossibly high. The dream of a grid powered primarily by wind and solar energy now confronts harsh reality. The intermittent nature of these sources, combined with their low energy density and high land use requirements, makes them hopelessly incapable of meeting the baseload power needs of modern economies. As blackouts loom and electricity prices surge in regions heavily reliant on renewables, policymakers and industry leaders must urgently reassess the role of wind and solar in future energy strategies. While renewables may play a minor part in the global energy mix, the current trajectory confirms that wind and solar alone will never sustain a modern society, just as this channel, in lockstep with countless others, always said it couldn't. Thank you for watching.